Times change. New ideas come to life in the fashion industry. People's preferences change. But as soon as the sound of national instruments penetrates deep into the soul, a state of harmony and internal tranquility comes. The voice of our ancestors lurks in these instruments. I greet you, my dear viewer. You're watching the Kazakh Live Dastur program. Today, we will play the national instruments. Today's guest of our studio is an art historian, cue performer, composer Ahad Baybusanov, who will share his knowledge on national instruments. Welcome to our studio. Hello. Art as well as instrumental art were preserved from times immemorial as the treasures of the Kazakh people. Today we want to tell our viewers about the types of the Kazakh national instruments. Let's discuss this theme. In general, some cultural figures will agree that our traditional instruments such as kobuz, dombra, sabızgı, saz sırnay, ıskırık, shirtir are pretty well known as solo instruments.
Şeritlerimizi alayık, onlar енді жеке орындауда өте көп қолданылған аспаптар есебінде танылады.
If we talk about percussion instruments, these are asatayak, sıldırmak. In ancient times, the Kazakh people didn't know what the orchestra is. These various percussion instruments appeared much later. Basically, these are not the types of instruments that were played at some events or meetings. Eastern nations use these instruments to gather people to announce serious news, or they were used by soldiers and the army. Do you mean percussion instrument? Yes, percussion instrument. They were played to encourage people. Therefore, they were meant as instruments of announcing message. The roots come from the Kazakh word daupaz. I heard this story 30-40 years ago from Nurgisa, the Kazakh composer Nurgisat Lendiev. Nurgisat Lendiev shared his knowledge with me. He played folk instruments. In general, there are a lot of orchestras. For instance, there's an ethnographic orchestra, an ensemble, Otrar Saza. We can surely say that the founder of the Kazakh art as well as orchestra of national instruments is Nurgisat Lendiev. In addition, Bulat Sarıbayev created instruments for the orchestra, and these two outstanding figures worked in unison. They are considered the founders of the orchestra. Dombra, with the strings made of certain materials, was played in the orchestra. In ancient times, the Kazakhs made the strings from different materials. For example, the dombra, with the strings from the guts of small livestock, were not intended to be played in the orchestra. While the strings were pulled, the guts became stretched. My teachers, the professors Habibulat Astanov and Isakhan Ayjanov, shared with me historical facts and theories. They always kept saying that the dombra with such strings is not suitable to be played in the orchestra. When I entered the university named after Zhubanov, I came with my dombra. I came to a boarding school with a dombra, which had hand-stranded strings. My mother made them for me. People were amazed with the strings of the dombra. This was a genuine dombra created in the boundless steppes of the country. There are two types of dombra, Qazaq and Shanaq. In my region, the dombra is called as the dombra with a long neck. Qazaq dombra is mostly played in the central region. Birjan Sal, Akan Siri, a cue performer, Abiken Kasenov played Qazaq dombra. To perform terme, the dombra with a long neck is required. That is a shanak dombra. It is the Western style dombra. The Qazaq dombra sounds differently. Ethnic Kazakhs and compatriots living across the world watch our program. Let's share some information on the types of national instrument. There are Qazaq, shanak dombra with long neck. There is also a 3-string dombra. It's called a shirtir dombra. I approve very much people who play it nowadays. I'm proud of them. How does it sound? The shirtir dombra produces pleasant and beautiful sound. As you said, our foreign compatriots, or even representatives of other nations, admire the performance of the dombra. They wonder how a 2-string instrument can convey such a beautiful melody. Dombra produces soulful sound that moves the hearts of audiences. It's an instrument that is echoed in the souls of the nomadic people. I gave courses to a foreign student. His name is Andrew Kay. He's the citizen of the US. He lives in New York, New Jersey, and he's a lecturer at 2 universities as well as the Doctor of Philology. The Day of Cue in Dombra was celebrated last year. After this, the Day of Nur Sultan City was celebrated. At that time, Andrew came in Kazakhstan to study the Kazakh folklore. He asked me to teach him to play dombra and perform cue. He had 2 weeks to study, and he was so enthusiastic. I was amazed by his eagerness. The sound of our national instruments touch the hearts of foreigners. Let our dombra win the hearts of audience and have great success in the world. What do you think about the youth's interest towards dombra presently? Presently, young people are less interested in dombra. Before, I did not pay attention to it, but now I'm very much. I have a studio where I teach young and adults. Now I see the tendency that parents take their children to dombra courses. Children become interested. I'm sure that children instilled with the love towards traditional values will be patriots of their country. You're right. Wonderful. When did you start to play dombra? When I was 5 years old. How were you able to hold dombra? I don't know. That dombra belonged to my father and it was big. My father was a cue performer, but I did not see him. He died when my mother was pregnant with me. Then I was a member of the orchestra in the village department of culture. When I performed, a chair was placed under my feet. A dombra was tied here. So, that's how I played dombra in the orchestra. How old were you at that time? I was 5 years old, but I played very good. You played in the orchestra being a 5-year-old boy? You inherited musical ability and your talent from parents. You have an absolute pitch. Probably I inherited absolute pitch from my father. At that time, there were no musical notes. My father was talented. He played dombra and kobus. He was a talented person. He never took a dombra or a kobus when he was going to guests. When he came to someone's home, he saw wood, for example, and made kobus or dombra immediately. Did he play those instruments? Yes, he played. It's wonderful. He created the instruments with hands. He was a skilled master. We would like to ask you to play the instrument. When people ask "Qonaq qade," only one cue should be performed. I have many cues. There were a lot of cue performers among our ancestors. As I'm a composer, I recently composed the cue Narsalu. 10 years ago, my daughter Aysalu got married. During the years of intensive construction, various programs featured Astana City's beautiful architecture.
түрді бағдарламалар көрсетіледі ол астананың әдемі жерлерін көрсетіледі одан жүрген
and people who were walking along the streets and parks. My daughter with her family was featured in that program.
екеуі сол кадрға түспаған ғой.
I decided to present them key. It's called Nar Sulu.
Оларға бір күй сыйлайыншы деп.
The name consists of two parts of the names of my daughter, Aysulu, and my son-in-law, Nariman.
Сосын екеуінің атынан біріктірген Нарсулу деп.
Beautiful key Nar Sulu. I would like to perform the key. Let's listen to Nar Sulu key. We learned a lot of useful information in today's program. I think our viewers were also pleased to know more about traditional instruments. Thank you very much. We continue our program at the Svadьба.kz Wedding Center.
Естеріңізге сала кетейік.
Our theme today is dedicated to national instruments.
Біздің студиямыздың
We also invited an outstanding group that modernizes and promotes ancient, forgotten instruments among the people. Duran Ensemble. Welcome to our studio. Hello, let's get to know each of you separately.
станция жеке-жеке.
The ethno-folklore ensemble Duran was created in 2008 when we were still students of the Kazakh National Conservatory named after Kurmangazy. 11 years have passed since we started to promote and raise awareness on the development of the Kazakh national instruments among our compatriots, fellow citizens, as well as foreign citizens. My name is Makhzat Medilbek. This is Abzal Arabayev and a new member of our group, Jantu. Nice to meet you. What instruments do you play? Wind, percussion, or bowed stringed instruments? In fact, there are about 30 instruments used by Duran Ensemble. All of them are the Kazakh national traditional instruments. Presently, some modern folklore ensembles, orchestras use modern instruments such as prima kobus, bass, dombra. We don't play them. We are trying to preserve authentic style of performance. We play stringed, plucked instruments such as dombra, shertir, three-string dombra. Bowed-stringed instruments include kobus, nar kobus. Wind instruments include sassarnai, sabuzgı, shankobus, and wooden shankobus. There are percussion instruments such as dabul, dangara, daupas. Do you have dangara? Yes, we have dangara as well as jitigen. It's wonderful. You call the ensemble Duran. How did you come up with the name of your group? Who proposed it to give this name? Whose idea was it? We would love to know this information, know the history of the group. Our instruments are not only the Kazakh instruments but common instruments of Turkic-speaking countries, such as dombra or kobus. We should remember that there are common instruments for Turkic-speaking countries. Of course, we were looking for a beautiful name. Some experts in our history advised us to give this name since Duran means a large civilization, which includes Turkic-speaking countries. Kyrgyz people are also included. Once the Commonwealth civilization consisting of Turkic countries such as Khakas, Altai, Tuva, Azerbaijan was called Duran. At the very center of these countries there are the Kazakh people. Therefore the name Duran suited very much the ensemble. So in 2008 we started our creative way as Duran Ensemble. Wonderful. What works do you perform? Who approves the repertoire? Do you perform on request? Let's talk about it. In fact, we have our own rules which we follow strictly. We perform in national style. We also aim to modernize ancient motifs. About 75-80% of the works that we perform are our author's pieces. Author's works, yes. And we perform folk cue folk composers. We process them according to our style, and so that our people were inspired by the national instruments. Now we would like you to perform cue. After that we will continue our conversation. Maybe you prepare the cue for our program. Of course we have prepared the cue. Our group consists of 5 people. But unfortunately our members Serek Nurmaldayev and Baurzhan Bekmouhamed could not come today, but still we have prepared a cue by Nurgisat Lindiyev. We will listen to it with pleasure. We wish you a lot of success. Thank you. Let your works promote the development of the Kazakh art. We wish you to perform beautiful cues that glorify the Kazakh people not only in our country, but also abroad. Does your ensemble perform abroad, by the way? We often perform abroad. We have already visited 70 countries. How does foreign audience welcome your ensemble? People welcome us warmly. For example, in 2008, together with the Students' Symphony Orchestra of the Kazakh National Conservatory, named after Kurmangazi, for the first time we took part in a large-scale festival, Euroclassic. After we finished our performance, people still wanted us to perform. When the audience applauded so fiercely, we were extremely proud of the Kazakh art, the national instruments in our country. At one of the concerts in Turkey, we performed our new cue, Yer Turan. The words were written by the composer Israil Saparbayev. Turkish people translated it into their own language as Turkic blood. Turkic, yes. They translated the words of a song as one of their hymns, Turkic blood, Turkic spirit. All words were translated into their own language, and people learned them. After the performance, all the spectators stood up and began to sing. At first, we did not understand what was happening. It turns out they were very inspired by this work. We had such wonderful impressions. I can say that people abroad receive us warmly. Did you join the ensemble recently? This is Jantu. Jantu. Yes. What a beautiful name. He is a wonderful Dombra player. Recently, a new subgroup of Duran Ensemble was formed. He performs in that group. The group is called Duran Junior. They're our brothers and our followers. Jantu, you are a new member of the group. It became known that the next young generation of the ensemble called Duran Junior was formed. Is it difficult to work in a group? Of course, it's difficult to perform in this group. We have to rehearse every day. We should work harmoniously with each other. Cues must be perceived in order to be performed well. Our elder brothers prepare us for the big stage every day. My dear guests, I express my gratitude for coming to our studio and participating in our program Kazakh Live Dastur. Let the inspiration accompany you. Thank you. From the point of view of history, music has a great influence on the emotional development of a person. Probably the Kazakh people inherited from the ancestors such virtues as generosity of the Kazakh soul, reliability, devotion to beautiful environment. We grew up instilled with a love towards sweet-sounding melodies of Dombra and Kobus, Jetegen and Sherter. You watched Kazakh Live Dastur program with Tamara Assar. See you soon.